Hey, it's Shar.
And this is Denver.
And we're just like that. Welcome to the unofficial recap podcast for Max's original series, And Just Like That. We're so excited. Denver,
So excited.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so let's get things started. If we're just like that, as you just heard in our intro, Denver and I are back for another episode, another week. This time, season 3, episode 5, Under the Table.
Now, before we start, I will say I enjoyed this episode. Something about it felt really light.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the tone I like for it to keep going.
I think that I enjoyed it most because we didn't see Aiden. We didn't even hear his. We did hear his name.
That's it. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. Maybe
there was
that's
no
why.
Aiden, and I really had to grapple with. I had this feeling, speaking to the ease of this episode. I just feel like I'm just really missing Professor Morning Show this season.
Me too. Me too. And I didn't think that I would notice her absence, but I definitely I feel it.
Because we see where Seema and LTW is going, and I feel like Naya's character was just starting, like that storyline had so much potential because she was leaving Andre Rashad, and I just would have, I just was missing her this episode in particular. I feel like she brought some grounding to this group, some common sense to this group.
Yeah, some blackness. And not to say LTW is not, but I feel like Professor Morning Show's experience was inherently just a little more.
There are different types of blackness for sure.
Correct. Yeah. I feel like hers is a little bit more wide reaching, so to speak. So, but I enjoyed it.
I did as well. Before we start though, do you want to I think we got a speak pipe. We got a new one this week from an old friend.
Okay. Who's the friend?
Yes. Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to bury the lead, or do you want me to just As a matter of fact, you know what? I'll let them I will let them tell you.
Okay.
It's a familiar voice.
Yeah, just hold
on.
Okay.
Hey y'all, Nash again. Now I know I said that I was hate watching, but now I'm just kind of strongly dislike watching because this episode was not that bad. Everything was cute. Charlotte, Seema, Miranda. Look, let's cut to it. Wyatt, the way that I felt a switch in my hand and I heard the sound of hot water in a bathtub running by the end of that episode, I was triggered. If they don't get Medea out there to the country to get that boy together, what? And also, did anybody clock how the eyes that Aiden was making at boyfriend? Weird. I'm starting to think that that's maybe why he sprung up Carrie staying until Wednesday for the party. What's going on? Anyway, can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. Let me keep listening.
Okay. Well, first, hey Nash.
Oh, right. Hey Nash. I love when we get our old friends calling in.
I know. Me too. I mean, maybe Aiden didn't want to be there, just kind of like solo dolo, because he feels away with new boyfriend. So he was like, Carrie, you're here. Why don't you go ahead and stay?
Well, what type of eyes was Aiden making? Dash didn't really allude. Were they like hateful eyes? Were they lustful eyes?
I think they're more like, oh, you don't really go here eyes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
To that point, someone brought up, I was corrected a million times over that Carrie was wearing a helmet when she was riding the thing. You know how I was like, was she? But also at the beginning of last week's episode, Aiden does not greet Carrie with a kiss until she hops on the AV. Like she asks him, like, are you gonna kiss me? Like there's like two separate scenes, and I was like, I did not notice that. Also, when I listen to, because I don't always listen to the companion podcast with the writer's room, and when I do, I make sure that it's like after we've done our recording, because I don't want to be influenced or let anything, I don't want any of my projections or anything to be taken, because they know everything that's going to happen. But it was a metaphor when Wyatt broke the window. It was like a shattering of the glass, like a back to reality, like this. Anything you were imagining with Aiden, this is it's like symbolism. With him grabbing the paint roller, because I didn't know what tool he used either.
I thought it was like a rock or something.
I thought it was a pitchfork.
You're right. He did like a
yeah. But it was one of the paint rollers. He grabbed a paint roller and he shattered the window.
Well, I'll be a damn Wyatt.
Are you ready to jump into this episode?
I am, because I thought everything was shattered. But then we find out this episode things aren't quite as shattered as I thought.
No.
So yeah, let's get into it.
And I want to remind people really quickly, if you want to join the ranks of Nash and the others and let your voice be heard, head on over to speakpipe.com/we're just like that. We love hearing from you all. Also, be sure to rate us. Give us 5 stars down to the Apple Podcast. We have a visual component now. So
We
head on
do.
down to the YouTube / the @ We're just like that show. And if you want to
Watch us.
watch us,
Watch us do it.
watch us. Watch us do it.
Watch us do it.
So here we are.
Yes.
This episode opens up with Carrie looking over. She's looking
Okay.
over.
I was like, oh, where are you going?
In the window, right. Where are you going with this slick back? Over in the window. And she's narrating more lines of her book. And the sentiments I notice are about stepping off of the expected path and going wherever life leads you. It's like risk taking. That's what she's speaking to. And that's when she notices a man who's looks like he's pretty incognito, and he's getting out of a car. He has luggage and he's headed to the apartment under hers.
Now, how did I not know until now that there was an apartment under there?
You know what? In fairness, Denver, me either, because they kept referring to it as the Gramercy house.
Mm-hmm.
So when Carrie was doing all that running from upstairs to downstairs, remember the kitchen door? I assumed that was the whole to do of it.
Well, one thing, where were those rats in that garden going? Were they staying in the garden?
My God.
Were they in that basement?
It was
And
abandoned for 6 months out of the year.
And then did he just get back? Oh, he did just get back.
Yeah,
So
he did
that
just
makes sense.
he
So that
just
makes
got
sense as to
back.
why he wasn't out there when they were, pulling everything up.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like that's the one thing about New York that I don't think I'll ever get down with. You can have a big ass house, all of these rooms, all this thing, and there's somebody going to be right up on top of you.
Yeah.
It's not for me. It's just not for me.
I have mixed feelings about it.
I don't like it.
Because but we'll get into it as the episode goes.
Yeah.
So, and then we get the montage. Really, Denver, can we get some promotion for the damn shoe collection? Okay. My God.
Okay. Now, if I were a woman, I feel like that would have got me off.
Denver, I rewound it.
I bet you did.
I rewound it. As someone, I love my heels. I love my stilettos.
Yeah, you are a heels girl.
By the way, I'm taking you all suggestions. Shar is in the market for a tennis shoe, okay?
Oh.
I need all my shoe closet is majority heels, like 85% heels. And then I got some sandals and I got some boots, but they're not weather appropriate. Like they're for fall, winter. They're not for summer. Mm-hmm. And I need like a sneaker. I need like
a sensible walking shoe. Do you want like a runner?
Now, hold on. I ain't Karen Huger now. I ain't the Grand Dame now. But I want something fashionable.
Skechers Cloud.
But I'm thinking like a New Balance or an Adidas.
Okay.
I don't know what's in style right now.
I wear APLs a lot. There's a store at the Grove. They're like a running shoe.
And
really
you wear them like for walking, like
I wear them for the gym. I wear them all the time.
Okay. Well, I'll take some suggestions from you, but also people listening. Shar is in the market for a damn tennis shoe. I don't have any. So anytime it rains or I travel out of Los Angeles where I'm not in and out of my car, I'm like
just slipping
walking around
all over the place.
Yeah. But again, some commotion for this damn shoe collection. And I noticed like when she first was walking, I was like, they're zooming in on these sparkly orange open toe, strappy sandals. And then we got the montage and I was like, oh, this is what I watched this show for. This is Off the Runway. Okay.
So for me, what I thought was interesting is I think every episode thus far, it's opened with the shot of Shoe the cat. So I was expecting it again in this episode, but then I got like actual shoes in this montage and I was like, oh, okay.
Because a woman has her right to shoes.
We'll get there.
So from there, as this is happening, we see that the man that's underneath Carrie, it's a juxtaposed scene because he is becoming increasingly frustrated. We see him tossing and turning because apparently he is trying to sleep, but he can't because Carrie is upstairs being the catwalk assassin.
Not my problem.
Honestly,
not my problem.
And we're gonna talk neighbors later on in this episode.
We will.
There's some questions I already got geared up for you.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You might have some for me too.
I do.
I
do.
But he finally decides to confront Carrie, and he is angry. Irate. And in this scene, we learn that his name is Duncan Reeves. Now, we don't know much about Duncan. We know his name and we know he is pissed at Carrie. What were your takes on this confrontation?
Sir, who are you? First of all, who are you? And why would you speak to a woman in that manner?
He's
And
British.
I don't care. I don't care. It pissed me off and it took me
Yeah.
to a place and I don't think I would have entertained it as long as I did. As long as she
As long
did.
as Carrie
As long as
did.
she did, yeah.
Yeah, I
Girl,
try to be
no.
neighborly. I try to be neighborly. And I should mention that this episode I have in my notes, I forgot to mention, this episode was one of the spicier ones as it
Mm,
pertains to conflict. There was a lot of conflict this episode.
right.
But I enjoyed watching it unfold. And I try to be neighborly. And I don't know if your neighbors are like my neighbors, but my neighbors, I don't know if it's the millennial or the Midwestern girl in me or what, but people don't like speaking. And I'm like, I don't know if this
No,
is like,
I don't talk to I'll talk to the one girl down the hall because we have a mutual neighbor who we hate. So we've
oh,
we've we've talked.
so you don't say hi, like you're in the hallway and you don't say hello.
No, I hate my neighbors.
Oh my gosh. I'm
I hate
like,
them.
in
No.
fairness, though, Denver, I live in like villa bungalow type
Hmm.
situation. You're in a more like standardized
Well,
corporate bit. You
that's a
got
high
way
rise
more.
situation.
Right, right.
But I will say when I was at my old building, at the Roosevelt, well, two things. I knew all my neighbors there, loved them. They were great. And the only sound I ever heard in that apartment was the sound of my neighbor's heels.
Oh,
I would only hear them when I would be in the bathroom because you know how
okay.
bathrooms have like less insulation for all the piping.
Yes,
So
yes.
whenever she would walk around, I would hear clonk, 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 and I'd be like, okay, she's getting
Yeah.
ready to leave. But that's the only sound I ever heard. So
Wow.
I understand Duncan's annoyance to a degree.
But the approach, you don't understand the
No,
approach.
he said, "Have you no rugs? Have
My
you no
God.
earplugs, motherfucker?"
My God.
Like, what
I
do you
mean,
like?
honestly,
What do you mean?
there's solutions on both ends. But the point I was trying to make is that I didn't know if it was like because I can't gauge their ages. You know, LA can be
Hmm.
very mixy. I don't know if they're peers of mine or younger, like with that Gen Z angst. But I'm like, we
Mm,
gotta start having handshakes, not even with neighbors, but we gotta start. We cannot lose the art of direct contact, direct
yeah.
eye contact rather, and a handshake. Like it costs nothing to say, hey, like I'm the neighbor that's gonna say, hey, how you doing? If we're passing each other in the hallway, because I
Hmm.
feel like you never know when you might need a neighbor,
That's true. Listen,
especially the direction we're heading.
my homegirl Cal, like I love her building. She knows all of her neighbors. It's one of those like old Hollywood motel vintage kind of buildings.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they with like the pool in the courtyard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah.
they leave their doors open. They're always like cooking, and if somebody has something extra,
Oh,
they'll
they're
say,
real communal.
it's like a compound almost.
Yeah,
And it's very cool. Like I like that. So if somebody goes out of town, somebody will watch the cats and this, that, and the third. I'm like, that's really nice.
that's very trusting as
I
well.
love, and they've all been there for forever.
Okay.
So
Because it costs you nothing to say hello. But also, I get that people are in different situations. But
yeah.
so yeah, like I mentioned, we learned that his name is Duncan Reeves. He's used to
Hmm.
silence because the woman who lived in the apartment before Carrie, she was bedridden, as Carrie keeps emphasizing and reiterating, like, yeah, well, you had silence in this church mouse aesthetic because she was in the bed. Carrie pleads her case in this scene and she mentions that, for what it's worth, I'm not throwing any parties, I'm not rollerblading, I'm not bowling. Duncan don't find
I'm
this
just
funny.
walking. She was like, I'm just walking, which I mean,
Um,
fair.
well, here's my thing. As a girl who loves heels,
Hmm.
and I know that this is a TV show,
Hmm.
and we know that Carrie can be impractical. I don't walk around my home in my heels. I leave my shoes at the door and I wear slippers. I wear house shoes.
Yeah, same.
I'm not trotting through my house. And Carrie got a lot of floors and a lot of house,
Hmm.
to be trotting through. So I was like, damn, who am I slipping? Like, but
No.
she says she don't even know how to walk in flats. So it's
Well,
like,
I mean, and my initial thought was like, this is New York. So you're walking around these streets and then you're trekking through your house in those same shoes.
yeah, well,
That's nasty.
so when this comes up, I got a call back for you because
But
we love a
I know,
callback.
but that was my first thought. I was like, this is nasty.
No, it's really gross. It's really
Like,
gross, especially because Carrie is not in and out of cars like Seema. Carrie does a lot of walking, and she's no stranger to public transit if she needs to
right.
take it.
And then she was talking about rugs. So I'm like, so you're just wiping it on your rugs too?
Oh, please,
I hope
please,
they're not
please.
cream.
No, they definitely not. They definitely weren't cream.
Like that's nasty.
So, but Duncan mentions he's a night owl and he works all night and sleeps during the day. He asks Carrie not to wear her heels.
Too far.
Yeah, that's a bit too far because I pay
Too
rent
far.
here. Then we get our next scene. Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and Seema are out to lunch and they're catching up. Carrie fills Miranda and the table in about like Duncan and everything that's going on. And Miranda cuts her off and mentions that she has a neighbor that blasts heavy metal rock music. I have in my notes hard pass. I think I already know your answer to my question, but
What is it?
if you had to choose
Mhm.
between a neighbor blasting music or neighbor, being a catwalk assassin in their heels, which would you choose? Which poison would you pick?
Well, considering I have neighbors who blast music all night, that tends to keep me up. Hence why I hate them. I'm gonna go with the heels.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
I
gonna go with
always think about when people do things like that.
yeah.
Like, what about the people who have babies? Like, I feel like I'd be considerate.
Yeah, no, it's actually insane. And the people who live, well, it's two. So the people who live above me and the people who live next to me, they're friends, right? So they're in cahoots. So they're running up and down. And 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 if I'm not mistaken, I think they're all streamers. So they're
Oh
up at
God,
like
you live next to DDG and Kai
they're
Sanat?
basically, so they're up at crazy hours of the night. I hear
Oh,
screaming, they're playing music. And granted, it's a multifamily building, so you can't complain like
but I was about
too
to say your
much.
building has always been a little trendy, huh?
It's trendy. It's
So
trendy,
you
but
mean to tell me that you moved up and
mhm,
you got worse neighbors?
yes,
You're supposed to get better neighbors as you move
it didn't.
up.
No,
Like you're
no,
up there in
no,
the clouds now where your
no.
apartment is.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It'll be like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll hear doom, 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 and I'm like, what?
And oh, and
Yeah,
like
and
stuff like
scream.
that.
So I'm calling front desk, and I'm calling people, and I'm like, it's either next door or upstairs. So they'll shut it off upstairs,
I know that's right.
and then they'll come downstairs. So I'm like, it's one of them,
See,
one
that's
of
what
them.
that's what gels us together because neither one of us are opposed to calling the front desk.
Absolutely
I
not.
will,
Maybe no.
and you all listening can feel how you want to feel about it. I do not object to calling down to the front desk, but
Mm-mm,
but
mm-mm.
then
Not at
so
3
during
a.m.
so during this, Seema reminds Carrie that she told her about Duncan and he lives there 6 months out of the year. That's how we find that out. And then Charlotte mentions your earlier point, like, girl, it's unsanitary to be walking around in your house. Like, why don't you just take your shoes off? And so in my notes, I have a callback. I was waiting to bring this
Okay.
up.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
No.
So do you remember that one episode of Sex in the City where Carrie like reunited with an old friend or an associate, and the woman had just had a baby, and she invited Carrie to her home. It was like one of them apartments in Brooklyn or whatever, to her home to the baby shower.
And she made
Carrie
her take off her
goes,
shoes.
and remember she asked her to take off her shoes at the
Yeah.
door
Yeah.
because we don't allow shoes in the house. Carrie enjoys the shower, and then when it's time to go, her
Hmm.
shoes are missing, and they're like $700 Manolos or
They're
whatever. Like
vanillas.
they're
Yeah.
missing, and that becomes like the B plot storyline of the
Hmm.
entire episode.
Yes. And I think that episode name was A Woman's Right to Shoes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I think
really?
so. I
Oh,
think
that
so.
brings me so much joy.
I think
But
so.
that's what that made me think of. Like Carrie probably don't take off her shoes because she got a lot of trauma. She got PTSD around that,
But not in her own home.
but not in her own home.
But
Right.
a couple things from this scene that stuck out to me. Carrie's instant, well, what does that have to do with me? Carrie gets a lot of flack for being very self-centered. So the fact that she
Yeah.
kind of verbalized that, I was like, okay, she's just, kind of set in her ways,
Yeah.
which we'll see later too. And it reminded me how Seema just truly is my girl because her instinct was to kill him. She's like, we just gotta kill him.
Which, by the way, I saw a TikTok of a black grandma. That was her advice. She was like, if a man cheat on you, kill him. And I was like, well, um,
Well,
there's a story there with
and then
ancestors.
there is, and then of course Miranda knew who this man was. Like, of
So
course she did.
yes, with Duncan, once it's brought up, Charlotte knew who he was too, because remember Harry's been reading one of those biographies for 5 years now, and
Yeah,
and Miranda's like, oh, I finished in a weekend,
right.
but
Miranda was a stan.
they both get excited because Duncan Reeves is an author and he is known for his biographies, honey. Like I guess that Winston Churchill one is which shout out. I went to Churchill Elementary School, so shout out to Churchill. I knew who Winston Churchill was when I was in kindergarten.
Oh my God, that's funny.
American propaganda. So Miranda goes, Carrie, take your damn shoes off, bitch. Like Duncan, according to what was the site that Goodreads,
Good reads.
Duncan got writer's block, and I've been waiting on his new book for years. Take your damn shoes off,
But whose friend are you?
Duncan's. Well,
Clearly,
that is a question that's going to keep bubbling up in
it
this
is.
episode.
It is.
So then we get the next scene. Carrie and Charlotte are walking and talking. They're chatting, and Charlotte asks the latest scoop on Carrie and Aiden's relationship. Carrie mentions in short that she's being realistic while holding on to romance. And I felt like this was a classic Carrie Charlotte scene because
Hmm.
Charlotte's like, "Oh, I can imagine being away from Harry." And Carrie's like, "Well, luckily you don't have to. Like, let's cut this at the
Let's
legs
just, yeah.
because
I'm not even going down there. I'm not playing this game with you today. I'm not doing it.
luckily you don't have to. So let's change the damn subject. I'm doing what's best for me and my relationship right now, what I feel is best for me and my relationship." Um, But then we get the next scene. Miranda is at home and she's trying to get some work done, and the heavy metal is blasting. So she grabs her legal pad, those infamous legal pads with the yellow striped paper, and she writes a note and slides it under the neighbor's door. And moments later, the music stops and Miranda's able to get back to work.
Good for her. I'm glad that worked. But I don't think that works in most situations.
First of all, I do not want to live in an apartment where there is even a crack small enough to slide
That
a piece
part.
of paper under my door because that means if paper can get under there,
We need
anything can get up under there.
Jesus be a weather strip.
Like,
Need one.
yeah, no, no, no. I'm not doing that.
Me neither. You want to take a break here?
Yeah, let's take a break
Yeah,
here.
let's take a break here. All right, and we are back. I think we left off with heavy metal notes under the door.
Yes, but
Yeah.
then we get our next scene, and oh my gosh, Charlotte and Harry are out for an after dinner walk. And
Hmm.
that is when Harry reveals that, hey, remember the time I peed myself at the club? Remember the erectile dysfunction that I was experiencing? I decided to go get it checked out. And I have prostate cancer.
Now, I kind of saw this one coming.
Really?
I did. I did. I didn't want to like, put that out there. But when he couldn't get it up after he peed on himself, my initial thought was, oh, he's having prostate issues. I didn't know if it was gonna be cancer,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
thought that it was gonna be a prostate type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I think that I watched because I watched twice. I think we both do.
Hmm.
Um and I was like I was trying to question like how Harry could have approached this, and I think this was the best delivery he could have given Charlotte, which was ripping the band-aid off because
Hmm.
Charlotte is one of those people that's going to be dramatic anyway, and it's better to just if he has a calm delivery about it, it turns the temperature down a little bit versus if he were
Absolutely.
a bit more, dramatic because Charlotte immediately freaked out when she learned this information, and it's understandable.
For
I'm sure
sure.
her mind, you hear the big C word, your mind goes to a million and one different places.
Absolutely.
And so he assures her that he'll be okay. Prostate cancer has a 98% survival rate, I guess, for men in his age group. But Charlotte's already too far gone. But there's no way of getting around that. Like she's
Yeah.
in her head. There's no way of getting around it. But Harry makes one request, and that is that Charlotte not tell anyone, not the kids, not their friends, anyone, no family about his diagnosis. What did you think about this?
I understand it, but I feel like it's incredibly unfair. I feel
Mm,
like at least the children should know. Because now not only have you burdened me with the news, now you've burdened me with being unable to share or like grieve in my own way, even though it's not really about her. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
now she
yeah.
has to keep a secret. So I
Yeah.
have to deal with this devastating news and I have to actively keep a secret,
This is annoying
And
me. I'm
and the
sorry, but
no, you're
listen, I'm
fine.
listening. I'm listening.
No, and the thing about cancer, any illness is it doesn't just affect the person, it affects their loved ones too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
It's a diagnosis for everyone,
everybody
essentially.
has to process and, come to terms, and you've basically cut off Charlotte's support system, and you've,
Good
made
point,
it, and you
Denver.
made it to where it's just you. You're
Good
the only
point.
person she can talk to, and I just don't feel like that's fair.
It really isn't. And that's a heavy burden to bear, especially for someone like Charlotte. Also in this scene, she suggests quitting her job so she can, take care of him. And he waves that off. That's ridiculous. And then she mentions canceling the upcoming glamping trip that they have scheduled, but Harry insists that she don't cancel it, reassuring her that everything will be okay.
He's such a good man.
He is. I like
He's
Harry.
such a good man.
Speaking of men that we have differing opinions on,
Oh
our
boy.
next scene is LTW and Herbert. And they're with their family, and LTW is gearing up for her trip to Atlanta with
Hmm.
Marion. and reminding Herbert of protocol for this Governor's Island glamping trip, which he insists that she never told him about. Now, I hope you thought of me while watching this scene because I rolled my eyes so far to the back of my head,
I know
I
you
could
did.
see my asshole.
I know you
I
did.
was just,
I know you did.
Herbert just drives me up a wall.
And if I'm being honest, he actually kind of pissed me off in this scene. Like
He pissed me off
I
this
was
episode.
pissed. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
I have in my notes, Herbert is only concerned about Herbert. That seems to be his primary focus.
I really don't give a damn about shit.
No, that seems to be
Like,
his primary focus. And
he
that's
doesn't.
what, in my opinion, makes him inherently her fourth child.
Mm, yeah.
She got to keep up
I
with
mean, you're not
everything.
wrong. You're not wrong. But I just think that, they work for each other in some weird way.
They do work for each other, but it also spotlights a callback to Grace and how this was supposed to take 1 year and went to 8. I think if she had
Hmm.
more help in that household, this documentary would have been done years ago.
Mm,
She's doing so much by herself because Harry, granted, he gives a good lifestyle to the kids, and but LTW is an equal contributor to that as well.
yeah.
Um, but if he were more active and present and less self-centered, this
Hmm.
documentary might have been done years ago.
Maybe.
So
Maybe. Fair
one
point.
could only tell.
Fair point.
Then we get our next scene. Seema is at the bank with Linda. Is that her name? Linda, and
Linda.
she's pleading her
Linda.
case because Seema wants to take out this loan for this office space or this office that she saw in Tribeca because Seema's branching out on her own, and she's
Hmm.
justifying all of the purchases for her lavish lifestyle. I was living in this scene.
I was too.
I was
I
living
was
because she's
too.
absolutely correct.
She's not wrong.
Linda is hearing her out on the sister girl tip. Like, I get it. She also warns Seema that, her boss or her supervisor is a bit of an asshole.
Hmm.
But despite that, Seema still has an overall good feeling about this loan. I feel like when Seema walked out of the bank, she had a good feeling about this. Now, you sent me something.
Well, before that, I want to say it was interesting because I couldn't tell if Linda was on her side or not. Like I
I
couldn't tell if she was like, going with the yeah, girl, I got you. If she was like,
and like a secret hater.
yeah, I couldn't tell. I couldn't
See,
tell.
when I first watched it, I felt that way. The second time I
Mm,
watched it, I felt like she was earnestly like, I'm gonna look out for you. But you
maybe.
felt like she might have been on some like, okay, smile and
Okay.
nod.
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
these stories every day, smile and
Yeah.
nod.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What do you all think? Let us
Yeah.
know what you all
Let
think.
us know.
Was Linda being a hater or was she really on some solidarity?
Well, so when I saw that clip I sent you earlier that you were about to bring up, I
Yeah, go ahead.
realized it's the same Linda from when Carrie was trying to get a loan umpteen seasons ago in the original series. And I was like, well, I'll be damned.
It's the same one. And I love when they do this. I
Me
love
too.
and just like that. I love a good callback, especially if I can remember because you and I don't always remember, but that's what we depend on our co-hosts for because they'll be
Hmm.
like, remember Misty, what was her name? Misty Von Bufflin or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
with the dick pic.
Uh-huh.
And we just breezed through that and people were like, "You don't
You
remember
remember her?
Misty?"
I'm like, no,
And
girl,
her gay
I don't,
husband, her gay
unfortunately.
Broadway husband. So, but
No.
yeah, I love a good
But
callback.
the difference in that scene with Carrie is Carrie had nothing. She's nope, no assets,
I was
no
about
bank
to say,
account. I
no
have
shades.
nothing.
Seema got stuff. Carrie had nothing.
Right.
Carrie had
Carrie
nothing but audacity. That's what Carrie had trying to get that loan.
and whiteness.
She had, right, white woman audacity.
Oh man.
So then we get our next scene. Carrie pays Duncan a visit and she brings a peace offering, a welcome wagon, if you will. And it's a
Mhm.
basket of goodies from local shops in the neighborhood. Duncan invites Carrie in and reveals that he's a writer. Carrie acts like she didn't already know this, but she knew from lunch earlier.
Mhm.
She reveals that she's one as well. I have in my notes that this was a spicy exchange between these two.
So I like Carrie trying to like kind of flirt her way out of trouble.
Yeah,
No, not trouble, so to speak. But she does that.
awkwardness.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was spicy. He's
it
British and
was.
spicy. He got a
Mhm.
smart mouth.
He does. He does. So I'm looking at my notes now, and I said it earlier, but I'm like, so I guess they share the courtyard. Like, I guess
Yeah, they share that garden,
who has dominion over what happens?
the decorating.
Because I know he says that he liked it before, but she's like, well, I'm changing it, and I'm like,
And it
well,
was a ride highway. And I think Carrie has dominion because she's there year round. He's there 6 months out of the year. To your earlier point, about the rats and things like that. I noticed in this scene, I literally have it down in my notes. They got his door wide open.
Yeah.
Like she walked in and the door is wide open and he's on the first floor of what used to be a rat highway. You don't you want to take your chances like that?
I mean, and in all fairness, it doesn't look like he gets the best light or
Oh my,
or ventilation down there.
his place looks so depressing compared to Carrie's. And I wondered if it was one of like the something like decorating, but to your point, I think just where his apartment is positioned, he gets the shit end of the stick when it comes to natural light.
Yeah, it's in a
And then
basement.
because the garden, the backyard has tall cement walls to it.
Hmm.
So he gets it just looks so his place looks depressing and hers is all open and airy and light.
Yeah, I don't understand how the New York real estate market even functions. Like some of the shit I see, that shouldn't even be like a space that would be habitable separate from the main house. It should just
Yeah.
all be bundled together.
I know people who are in basement apartments that are worse than that. Like that's a luxurious one compared to people
No.
some people that I know. Um but yeah, so while she's in there, they're having the small talk. He offers her tea and she's like, "No, thanks. By the way, there's English tea in there from tea time across around the way." And he gives
Okay.
her with a gift. So she gives him a gift and he hands her an Amazon package. When she opens the package,
Mhm.
it is a pair of the ugliest slippers, some of the ugliest slippers I've ever seen.
I
Uh
would have slapped him with them. I would have slapped him
oh.
with them. Honest to
Oh.
God. Like, how dare you? You mean you had all this time to go on Amazon, find these slippers, order them, and you could not order yourself some earplugs?
True. I keep forgetting about the earplug part, but true.
I mean,
True.
solve your own problem.
Noise canceling headphones,
You know,
the Calm app.
and furthermore, if you're a writer and you know you need solitude, why in the hell would you move to New York? Go upstate.
Direct quote, "This is New York City. There's noise." That's also a good point. He could be in Ithaca, Rochester. Hell, he could even be in New Rochelle, which isn't too far from New York City, but it's suburban enough where you'd get some solitude
Right.
and quiet. Like they're on a main street. It appears, we don't know what street they're on, but it appears that they're not on a side street.
I mean, New York is just noisy in general. And then at first, I thought, well, maybe his subject is in New York and maybe he has to be there.
Oh
That would,
no.
that would be like the only logical reason as to why a writer who needs silence would even be in New York City.
Hmm.
And then we find out later it's not, but it don't make sense to me.
Well, she ends up rejecting these slippers, of course, and she mentions that she'll soon have a thick rug and she will try her best not to disturb him.
See, Carrie's already doing too much. Like
She's
I'm
trying
trying,
to be a good
trying my best not to
neighbor.
disturb you. I know, I
I
guess
have
I'm a pretty good
neighbors
neighbor.
that blast music. It doesn't bother me though because it's not rock music.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's not even hip hop. Majority of my one neighbor who blasts music is mostly like jazz. I'm like, I can do 94.7 The Wave. One time in the pandemic, my neighbor to my left, I don't have a
Hmm.
neighbor to my right, but the neighbor to my left,
Hmm.
I was on Instagram Instagram Live. I'm only laughing because if you know, you know, pandemic Shar, quarantine Shar, and Instagram Live. My
Yeah,
God.
baby, it was a religion.
And it was like 11 p.m. This was like at the beginning of lockdown.
Hmm.
And my landlord texted me and she said I was in here being too noisy.
What?
And yeah, oh, it pissed me off so bad because this is when
That's crazy.
everybody was,
We're at home.
well, majority of people were furloughed. Like no one was going into work. No one was even working. This was when it was like the first like week or two where there was so much confusion.
Hmm.
This is before companies had Zoom accounts figured out and think
Mm,
this before working virtually was an option. I'm talking about this is like
mm.
March 17th, March 21st. And she sure did. And I was like, girl,
That's crazy.
you know I'm live round the clock in this bitch. You know,
That's crazy.
I'm gonna
I
take me
mean,
a little break and I'll be back at 2:30 a.m.
I
to
feel
finish
like
my conversation.
I feel like I'm the most considerate neighbor ever. Like I
I feel
try
that
not to
way
make
too.
noise, even when Jonte's stomping around his boots, I'm like, can you not stomp so loud? Just in general, like,
Yeah.
because I want that same respect in return. But I'm
Yeah.
also not unreasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I am gonna make noise, it'll be maybe like a Saturday night, between the hours of like
Right.
7 and 11. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
if I'm watching a movie, I'll turn the volume up, but I'll turn the bass down so it's not rattling. You know what I mean? Like I try to,
You try to be cognizant
I
of
try,
and neighborly,
and I
which
think,
is the bare minimum.
and I think that's why I get so pissed off when I don't get that in return because I'm like, I know how hard I try to be that.
Well, as Williams would say, some people were raised up and others were dragged up.
Ooh,
You don't know who your neighbor is going to be.
shout out to Wendy. I hope she's doing better.
I hope she's doing okay as well. I think about her on a weekly basis, and I love that
This is for
Suzanne and
Wendy.
Brendan are still so plugged in, like they are there, honey.
Yeah.
But then we get our next scene. Charlotte is preparing dinner, and Anthony clocks her. I mean, that's her best friend. He clocks the hell out of her and asks if she's okay because she seems so distracted. And that's when we get Lily and Rock. They don't want to
Mm,
go glamping. They come into the kitchen. They don't want to go glamping, but Charlotte is not having this shit. She's
at
very
all.
snappy. She's on edge. Lily pleads her case because Lily apparently splits Diego, her boyfriend, Diego's weekends with him and his boyfriend, Eric. And if she's not there, it puts her at a disadvantage.
This is so funny to me because, girl, you're in high school. Like, why are you doing this?
So I thought that this spoke to, because at first in my notes I said, let's talk Polly in all caps, right?
Okay, okay.
But I had to remove the adult conversations I've been having about this
Hmm.
and put it in the scope of an angsty teenager because I'm like, see, poly people don't talk like this. What do you mean a disadvantage? What's your end goal? Ain't you
Right.
supposed to be satisfied
Uh,
playing your role
Everybody's down
in
with the
this?
get
Everybody
down.
down, everybody
Right,
chilling. What do you mean
right.
puts you at a disadvantage? But when you're in high school
You want your
and you
boyfriend.
like someone, you
You
want
want
your
your boyfriend.
boyfriend.
Yeah,
You want your
you want your
boyfriend.
man.
And in fairness, this isn't taking away from any poly relationships. I think a lot of people, even as adults in poly
Mm.
relationships, just want their boyfriend.
Well, I'm gonna take a
Hee
sip.
hee 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 ha hee 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 ha. No judgment, no
No.
judgment. But as someone who served as a sounding board,
Mm,
it
mm,
just it just in my view, there's always someone that's more game to it than the other.
mm,
And yeah, that leads
mm.
down a road. But nevertheless,
Nevertheless,
Charlotte is not budging. She don't give a damn about Diego, Eric, or any other characters in this play. Lily is going glamping. Period. Like Charlotte picked up the wooden spoon and was
not a
pointing it at
discussion.
her. She ain't playing. The next scene, we get Carrie on the phone with Miranda, and she's filling Miranda in on everything. And Miranda is half listening because she's reading text messages. And Miranda, and I have a question coming up for you about
Okay,
this, but
okay.
Miranda in this conversation says that her neighbor informs her that there's nothing he can do about the loud music. I should mention that the rock is going again.
Hmm.
There's nothing he can do about the loud music because he's not supposed to be renting out in the first place. Now, to our earlier point about being front desk girlies,
Hmm.
I would have put an end to
Oh,
this
absolutely.
because I pay rent here.
Absolutely.
I pay
Like,
rent here.
like what? But then I thought, does Miranda run the risk of losing her spot if she were to call the front desk? Right?
How so?
Because she's talking to the landlord, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the way I interpreted it, he can't complain about the noise because Miranda's not supposed to be there. Right. So
I
he
think
can't.
Miranda is supposed to be there. That's her apartment.
Is that her
That's her
problem?
two
Because
bed.
I thought she was Airbnb in a two-bedroom Airbnb. Didn't she tell the girl in the bar, Brady took the man up to, we sold the house, Brady's living with
Right,
his
Brady's
dad,
with Steve in the
and
loft.
I'm in an Airbnb.
Is that what she
I
said?
think so. So I think she's the one who's not supposed to be in the
Okay, so
Airbnb.
she's not okay. In my mind, I think you're absolutely correct. In my mind, because it's coming back to me now, because they sold that brownstone. That's what old girl was like. Oh, you let the house. In my mind,
Right.
they were Airbnb-ing their
The neighbor
brownstone.
was Airbnb in your
Got
mind.
you,
Right,
got
right, right,
you.
right. See that's what I thought at first too. And then
That
I was
detail matters.
well, because we had the same initial response. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh bitch, I'm shutting all this shit down. And
Don't worry about it.
I
That
was
would have been
like,
my.
it's fine, it's
Don't
fine.
worry.
It's fine. And then when I went back to the rewatch, I was like, well, wait. No.
Yeah.
Miranda's the one in the place where the man's not supposed to be Airbnb. So the man can't be like, my tenant's complaining of this, that, and the third
Right,
because
right.
it's supposed to be him.
So, my second question is also in this scene. Carrie takes some offense to Miranda reading text while they're on the phone. But in my notes, I said, literally, I do this.
Oh, honey,
I said, I admit, like, I do multitask when I am on the phone,
mhm.
when there's a phone call, unless it is something super, super serious that requires my undivided attention. If we're just shooting the breeze,
I'm
I'm likely going to be multitasking, and that includes reading and responding to text messages. But I'm also not opposed to telling you, wait, Denver, hold on 1 second. Let me just
right,
respond to this really quickly. If it's something
right,
like, because someone could be texting me paragraphs, right?
right.
Well, and if we just catching up about Kenzo and the latest flavor salmon snack, like, well, how do you feel about this?
Oh no, I'm a multitasker down. I mean, and I'm so good at it. Like it's almost second nature. Like we've been on the show and I'm putting out a fire between my mom and my sister via text right now and nobody has any idea. So
Wow,
like
not even
like
me.
I can always fly something off and like I'm that's just kind of how I've conditioned myself to function.
Now, see, I don't think I can do it while working. My phone
Yeah.
is on D&D for that reason alone.
Oh no. So I have a split screen. So I have all of the show stuff over here and then this one's here. And my shit's on D&D too, except my mom and my sister.
Yeah, my mom.
So they're the only ones who can actually get through. And if they
Yeah,
come through, I'm like, oh God, what
here
what
we
are we doing?
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So, Carrie offers Miranda one of her extra rooms for Miranda to stay in, but Miranda turns down the offer and instead she asks Carrie to hook her up with Seema so that she can move, like she can find a place. Carrie tap dances around this before conceding that she doesn't want to mix friends with business because it is too risky.
and I'm glad she said it.
Yeah,
I'm glad she just said it.
me
Very grown
too.
of her.
And Miranda's very grown to be like, okay, I get it.
And I think that that was kind of the first instance in this episode, which we'll see later, where I'm like, they're actually being really grown about this.
Oh, they were
You
they were
know what
very
I mean?
grown.
So I appreciated that.
I might have told Miranda to ask Seema herself.
That's what it, exactly.
Don't
Don't involve me.
I won't be a conduit. I won't be the linking.
Thank you.
You ask Seema. At this point, Miranda should be comfortable enough with Seema anyway, I
And you're
feel.
like, you know her.
This lady
Ask her
been around for
yourself.
3 years.
Right. But what gagged me was Carrie kind of read her talking, or Miranda kind of read her talking about she's unemployed.
Yeah, what else she got to do but find me an apartment? Uh then we get when the call is over, Miranda goes back across the hall with that legal pad
Mhm.
and she slides another note under the door, and that's when the door opens.
Yep. And there was a crazy white man, butt
Butt
naked,
naked
with a meat
with a
cleaver.
meat cleaver. Are you channeling me right
I
now?
am. I am.
Butt
A-
naked with a meat cleaver.
And that is a reason why I don't interact with my neighbors directly. The ones I have issues with at
And I was
all.
about to say, in fairness, you do have, from what I've seen, this is not too far out of the scope of potentially one of your neighbors.
No. No.
We should also mention that this man is hurling threats, right? He says, direct quote, if you slide another note under my door, I will fucking cut you to pieces.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not I'm not I'm
Heard,
not I'm not knocking on doors.
heard.
I'm not trying to establish anything.
And
It's
it's not like Miranda was even down the hall. Like he didn't, it's not like she like slid a note and like ran down the hall to try to get back to, like, she's across the hall and he
Mhm.
answered that thing so quickly. I was like, oh, absolutely not.
But then I'm also like, okay, so Miranda, if this is going to be an issue, earplugs, noise canceling headphones. Like at some point you have to solve, like if the problem's not going to solve itself, you have to solve your own problem,
But you know
you know.
what? To your point, I hear you loud and clear. But I think about like just how inconvenient that is. Like
No,
I
I
think
know.
in theory it sounds like just get earplugs, but like I'm trying to chill, I'm trying to relax and watch TV and
Yeah.
unwind and decompress and talk on the phone maybe. You
I
can't
hear
do nothing
you.
about phone interception.
No.
And you got, Ozzy Osbourne blasting.
And I hear you. And I think that by on principle, that would I would push it as far as I could
Yeah.
until the butt naked man is with the meat cleaver. I'm like, okay, well, we gotta go to plan B. Like this ain't changing. Because at that
Speaking of
point, like
which,
I'm gonna be
we
inconvenienced either way, either by the earplugs or by this man. So at least I'm gonna make it work for me.
luckily Miranda has a plan C, right?
Okay.
Because our
Yeah.
next scene we see her showing up at Carrie's door with her belongings, and Carrie is excited because it'll be just like when they shared a place in the 90s on Bank Street. Ah!
Which is funny because I remember you mentioned what Carrie was going to do with the house and the bedrooms now that Aiden and Wyatt aren't coming up. And in my
Mm.
mind, I was like, somebody's moving in. I don't know who, but somebody's moving in. And so it was nice to see this episode. Like, okay, well, somebody's moving in, albeit,
Somebody's
you
moving
know,
in.
temporarily. But I was like, yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
Carrie's trying to be a good neighbor though, honey. She asking Miranda not to wheel that luggage. This scene made me laugh out loud because I said, "Oh, they getting a little spicy."
Okay.
Because Miranda notices that Carrie's got some new couches, and she
Hmm.
starts walking over towards them. And Carrie asks her to take off her heels, and Miranda's like, "Seriously, girl, you're still wearing yours?" And Carrie's like, "Yeah, but I know how to walk in mine."
Mm. And that's a read only a friend could deliver.
I would have been
Because
like, "Bitch."
what I don't even know if I can say what I heard, what it translated to in my head, but what I heard was, no, I'm not gonna say
What you hear, Denver? Because I already
it.
know. I know how you think, as Nene Leak said. I know.
I'm not gonna say it.
I know
I'm
where
not
this
gonna
is.
say it. I'm not
This is
gonna
a
say it.
callback to last week's episode with figuring it out.
Yep. Yeah. As you walk like a,
You trying
and
to
I
say
would
that
just
she
leave
walked
it
like
there.
Abeline? She walked like Annalise Keating in them heels.
No, no, not exactly. Well, technically, kinda. You know what? I'm just gonna shut up
Because
now.
Annalise was doing a lot with Jean Grey. Uh,
She was, she was.
and so then there's a knock at the door, and of course that there is the assumption that it's Duncan's mean ass coming to complain, but instead it's a delivery guy. And Carrie's caught off guard because she didn't order anything,
Hmm.
but it's a gift from Aiden, and it's the table. And Carrie is flattered. Even the delivery guy is like, "Damn, that is romantic."
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Take it away, Denver. Take it away.
Happy for my girl. Like the most romantic thing ever. I was like, oh, that's adorable. Like that's so sweet and thoughtful and all of that good stuff. But fuck, I have in my notes all caps, fuck, I thought we were moving away from Aiden. And it's like just when we think we are leaving this man in the dust, somehow he pulls us right back in.
Ain't that how life works
And I'm so over it.
for some of us?
I'm just I'm over it.
That's what I'm like. I'm hoping that this is a parting gift.
Like I was so conflicted because I was like, oh, she got the table and this is really, really romantic. Like I had, oh, it's so sweet.
Is it
Like,
romantic or
I'm like,
is it
fuck,
a I
Aiden.
messed up gift? Because Aiden wasn't thinking about that damn table. If Carrie would not have reminded him, to me, it would have been more romantic if it would have shown up without Carrie having to essentially prompt him.
Well, I mean, I wonder when he bought it. Like, did he buy it right after that conversation where he was
Yep.
like, I did it
Yep.
quick? Or did he buy it after, she
No, he bought it
broke up
after
with
that
him?
conversation because remember, he thumbs downed it and moved on.
Right. But then I was like, well, maybe he bought it after everything went to shit and then he felt embarrassed. He was like, well, let me make it up real quick and buy a table. I don't know.
Let me stop rolling my eyes because redemption is possible, Shar. Stop being so cynical about everything.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm still not Team Aiden. It's gonna take more than a
no,
table.
I want
More than a
him
table.
gone.
Gone.
I want him gone.
Gone.
So Miranda then spots Duncan. I laughed at this scene because she spots Duncan as he's walking back into his house and she fans out as she asks him to sign her copy of Winston Churchill. And I wonder if it was improv when Carrie goes, "Where did that book come from?"
I mean, she said it as I was thinking it because mom, it was a blink of an eye. Like she had it in her purse.
Yes, she did.
Like not even in the luggage and stuff she brought to stay. She had it in her like ready to
Because
go
she was like, "Baby,
purse.
I'm going to
He's
Carrie's
gonna
house to stay, and
he's gonna sign this
I
book.
know who's that downstairs neighbor." I don't
I
listen,
hollered.
Miranda. I'm not mad at it.
I hollered.
I'm not mad at it. And of course, he said something shady in this scene as well as he was signing it.
Yeah, it was. I just can't remember.
Yeah, he said some. It was because they were gonna bring the like bumpers up there, and he was like, "No need, she doesn't have
Oh, the
rugs."
shoe covers. That's what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So our next scene, we're in flight with Marion and LTW, and LTW is impatient because she's running behind schedule for this family glamping trip. And but Marion clears the way, gets her up out of there.
Yeah, he does.
He has jokes though. Again, I wonder if the Chalamet reference was
Oh,
improv.
oh, maybe. Maybe.
He had jokes like Marion. Yes, it's a man's name too. What are you looking at, Chalamet?
Mm, I mean, my question was, what airline is this? Because I
It
mean,
was it was like burgundy and cream.
yeah, it was giving international, not from Atlanta
It
to
was giving
New
obvious
York.
set. Like we
Yeah, it
needed
was
a.
bad. It
This
was
has been
bad.
left over from
It was
from
bad.
from the '80s, from the Dallas set. I don't know.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
It
then we
was
get our
fun.
next scene, and we're with the Wexleys and the Goldenblatts, and they're glamping. Herbert is annoyed,
Not
which is
happy.
annoying me.
Fair
Be an
enough.
adult.
Fair enough.
Um, LTW shows up and she's late. But and Herbert, I should mention, does not appear that he wants to be there. Mosquitoes are tearing Harry's ass up, and then it's time for s'mores, and
Now,
there's no chocolate.
I think what annoyed me about Herbert in this particular instance is you've already relinquished the fact that you're going. So you're there with your family. It's your family. Like, be happy. You know what I mean? Like, do you just not want to be with your family?
No,
Like whether or not you have shit to do or not, like
no.
this is still your family. These are
The
still your
priority is that
kids.
campaign. He
Like,
don't give a damn.
these are still your kids. You're spending quality time.
Yeah,
You're already not going. Like you're not there. So
right.
just have
I
put on a
agree.
happy face. Like also, like, do you just not want to do something cool with your kids? Like
Also,
I don't have kids, so I wouldn't know. But
no,
like,
no, no, but you've
if
once
I
been a kid, and that's
no,
my
and
point that
and
I'm
if I
going to
had
make.
them, I would want to do shit like that with them. I would imagine.
But see, that's the point I'm making because you don't have children, but you've been a kid. And kids, especially in that age, like kids can be four and pick up energy.
Yeah.
Like we can pick up that dad doesn't want to be here. Like, what the fuck? Like that's,
That's such
like
it's a shitty feeling.
it's because you
Yeah,
don't always have the wherewithal to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And you might take that on and think he doesn't want to be with you, make it a you
r-
problem.
exactly.
And I don't want to get all like
Woo woo.
cerebral with it,
Yeah,
but it's the truth.
yeah. It
It's
is.
the truth.
It is.
And so, yeah, now it's time to make s'mores, and there's no chocolates, no chocolate, and the Wexleys have an argument, literally a contentious argument in front of everyone about this. Now, let me ask you this: do you think, because the script got flipped, do you think that Herbert really told LTW that he forgot the chocolate,
I do.
and you think
I do.
LTW was so wrapped up in her work
I
crush
think she had the
that it went
chocolate.
in one
I
ear
think
and
she
out
had
the
the
other?
chocolate beside her the entire time, so it didn't dawn on her that she forgot the chocolate because she had it. She had
But
plenty of chocolate.
she also noted that like, babe, I was walking around the Atlanta airport for hours. I could have been grabbed chocolate had you told me. So that's what made me think that like maybe he didn't say anything.
Well, as somebody who has been in the situation in their own relationship dozens of times where you do say something and the person just does not remember you saying it and you know you said it and it turns into an argument, I believe Herbert on this one
So do
because
you all put everything in writing now? Because that would be my solution.
no, because it's always like dumb shit, like stuff you wouldn't even think about that you would need to remember. It's not like
Mm,
we're remembering items, but it's like, yeah, remember yesterday I said that we were gonna do whatever, whatever. No, I didn't say, well, I mean, I said it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like you can't convince somebody of their reality, you know? So I mean, if their
Hmm.
reality is you didn't say it and yours is you absolutely did, at some
But
point you
that's why we
just
must remain open.
well, I mean, at some point you just have to let it go.
Yeah,
Like you can't convince somebody of something that didn't happen for them, even though it did.
true.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the area of growth that I've experienced. Because, you know, in my nature, I'm gonna beat you into submission. Like I'm gonna be like, you I said it, motherfucker, you better, you know, but you can't do that.
And Aries, ladies and gentlemen,
You can't do that. And
and
it's an
siblings.
oh, maybe it's Aries Leo in here. So it's, you know,
Oh yeah, it's real
it's fire,
fiery up
fire.
in
Oh,
there.
it's fire, fire in here. So we just, you know, we know each other. So it's like, you know, I said it. You may not have heard me, but I definitely
But
said
I
it.
definitely,
And it's
I
like,
said what I said.
well, I didn't hear you because you didn't say it. Okay, well,
Hello.
okay.
Well, Charlotte snaps and puts an end to this whole exchange because it's chocolate, not cancer.
Girl, what does that even mean?
It just she just gives me so many what's old girl's name? Gosh, I can't remember her character's last name, but Gretchen from Mean Girls. It was giving, we should totally just stop Caesar.
Yeah, and you know what? And what's interesting, I was talking to John Tay about this last night. Charlotte's character, I think in this season in particular, seems so erratic. And she's always kind of been erratic, kind of aloof, you know. But I feel like everybody else is kind of grown in some ways. Like
Mm,
they've kind of settled into older and the stuff that rattles them doesn't rattle them. You know, they're the same people, but their
yeah,
reactions aren't really the same.
yeah.
You know, Charlotte doesn't react or act as if she's lived all of this life. Like she's
Well,
still
that's also
like she's
indicative. of how we all grow at our own pace.
Yeah, well, she just hasn't. Like it seems like she's even more like,
Tightly wound today than she was in her 30s.
yes. And it's kind of throwing me off a bit.
I
Like
wonder if that
all of
comes
her
with,
expressions are like,
yeah.
girl, we're 50.
I
Like,
wonder
calm
if that
down.
comes with being a parent or if that comes with staring your own mortality, as you get closer to the quote unquote finish line, or if that comes with just being older and being more hyper aware of everything. I get what you're saying. As you age, you should have some semblance of peace. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
as frantic in life.
But like I don't even remember old Charlotte being as
Yeah.
emotive. You know what I mean? It's, ooh,
Oh, emotive.
You know
Okay,
what I mean?
I
Like
get it.
I don't
Yeah.
remember her doing that when she was younger. So the fact that I feel like she's doing it even more now,
Yeah.
it
The big
doesn't make sense.
Charlotte eyes, as the principal calls it. You came in
Yeah.
here giving me the big Charlotte eye.
Yeah. Like, girl, calm down. Like we're
Well,
50.
damn.
That's just how I
Do you
feel.
want to take a break here? Another
Yeah,
break?
yeah, let's break. Let's break. But aside from Joe, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she's so like
Mm-hmm.
annoying. Like, I don't remember her being this annoying.
Yeah.
She's annoying. Okay, you can bring us back whenever.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back to We're Just Like That. Denver and I are recapping season 3, episode 5. And now we're in the next scene, and I spot my initials
Yeah,
on
yeah, you do.
Carrie's phone. Carrie is texting Samantha, which I think is so funny because you just asked, wasn't it last week? You
Hmm.
just asked, and I was like, no, he ain't getting no damn Samantha. I think Samantha's over with. And my mind was in the context of Kim Cattrall making a
Hmm.
cameo. I forgot how they could just like etch, just like Carrie could be texting Stanford Blatch if she
Hmm.
wanted to.
Hmm.
But she's texting Samantha and she's getting the lowdown on Duncan. And I wrote in my notes that I love that they incorporated that familiar Sex in the City music bed. Whenever Samantha texts, it gets all spicy
Yeah,
and exotic with the music.
yeah.
And it's a callback to the movies in particular, because I don't think they were using that sound in the show.
Hmm.
That jingle rather in the show, that's a jingle from the movie franchise.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I said, I have in my notes, notice how the last time, did you see that the last time that they
Hmm.
that they text, like they don't talk. And I also noted that their messages have no flavor, which is indicative of how things can sometimes go when friends grow apart, but you're
Yeah.
still friendly,
Hmm.
right? But friend, like I'm like, their messages are so bland. Like I feel like in real life, if I didn't talk to a friend in a long time and I randomly just drop in their inbox asking them about someone, I'm gonna be like, by the way, how you been? Let's catch up sometime.
So I think I took it a little bit differently. Like I think I stand a little corrected in, I could do without Samantha because this did make me smile. I was like,
It's because the music.
maybe. But I think the way that they brought her in, it was almost as if like they've been kind of like keeping up with each other kind of loosely, you know?
Yeah,
And I feel like that is a bit more realistic to like how they would have fallen out. And after the whole, came to your dinner, turned around, blah, 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 blah. Like it's nice to know that they're still in each other's orbit,
yeah,
but not just like day to day. And they're not estranged, like completely.
right.
You know what I
And
mean? That
Samantha's in London. They don't really acknowledge the time difference, but I
no,
mean, she's a
but it made me believe like, maybe they FaceTimed or maybe they,
right, right. Okay,
like, you know what I
fair.
mean? Like maybe they, catch up every now and then. Maybe they check up on each other.
She
And I,
checks up on me.
right. And I feel like that's enough. Because
Yeah.
because it went from not speaking to she was gonna pop up at the dinner to, Carrie being comfortable enough to hit her up, being like, hey, so tell me about this man.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that she would know him or
Yeah.
assuming she would know him in London, you know.
Well, Carrie definitely asked about Duncan, and Samantha responds and says, they say he's a lot of fun. And she's like, why? And Carrie's like, he's living under me. And of course, Samantha's like, I wish he were under me.
Perfect. I mean,
Perfect,
perfect.
Samantha. I
Perfect.
love that Miranda points out that, like, well, Duncan is 6'5", so that is her kind of fun. Mine too, SJ, from SJ to SJ. That's my kind of fun too.
And then I thought, well, wait, he's 6'5" in that basement. So the basement must have pretty tall ceilings.
Yeah, Carrie's
Right.
pretty up there.
Is she?
I feel like it looks low, but I feel like it might
Okay.
match Carrie's ceilings.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Carrie's got tall
Yeah. New
ceilings.
York real estate, I would know. Mm,
I'm just saying, Carrie's got tall ceilings. We see that Aiden fits in there just fine. So
true.
why wouldn't Duncan fit in his apartment?
Yeah.
From there, Miranda needs a second opinion on this gorgeous orange jumpsuit that she's wearing, because Joy has invited her to stay the night. Ooh, ooh.
I'm
Carrie
over this too.
offers Miranda the perfect accessory, which really did set the
Oh,
outfit
baby.
off.
Perfect.
It set the
Perfect.
outfit off.
Perfect. Which leads me to believe they styled the entire thing. And then like, we'll take one thing off for you to
Yeah,
add because it was too perfect.
yeah. And Miranda's hesitant to take it. I don't want any designery stuff because, that one time Carrie's like, "Oh, you lost my whatever type of handbag it was." But
Yeah. That was a very
then
Shar coded moment too.
you think so?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
It was a very me coded moment too. Like I will never bring it up, but I'll remember. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna forget.
I'm going to remember because I more than likely wrote about it.
Yeah, and I kind of want you to
Uh,
feel bad about it. So I'm gonna bring it up when you bring it up and give you all the details that you're
because I'm
trying to
chilling, but
avoid.
I miss my bag.
Absolutely.
So then we get the next scene. It's Miranda at Joy's apartment and they're making out, but they're making out with an audience of Socrates and Sappho, the Italian greyhounds.
Now that you
They
got the
are
dogs.
locked
Now that you
in.
got the dogs' names.
Of course.
My notes. BBC lady has two dogs.
I got the dogs named Socrates and Sappho.
I mean, fire names. Like I'm
No shade.
like
No
fire
shade.
names. Fire names.
And so I don't know, correct me if this sounds ignorant, but of course I know who Socrates is. Sappho, I'm not really that familiar with, but
Oh,
does
don't.
Sappho have anything to do with being sapphic?
I don't know.
Because
Possible.
lesbians.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Interesting.
The goddess of
Um,
cunt.
but wild cunt. Joy puts the Italian Greyhounds out of the room and her and Miranda they resume their makeout session. But before things have a chance to get hot and heavy, the dogs get to whining outside the door. Now, has Kenzo ever
Relatable.
played in your face
Oh
like
my
this?
God, all the time. I was like, I have all caps of relatable. Relatable. This dog, I don't do it or anything in front of the dog. I
You
just,
said that with
it makes me,
about Shu a
like, it
few
makes me
episodes
feel
ago.
weird.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is if he's in the room, I can put a blanket over him and he'll just lay down under the blanket, and that's good
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
If I put him out of the room, he doesn't like feeling shut out, so he will howl. He'll
My
howl.
God.
And there have been, I'm not going to go into those details.
You about to
Um,
say it's been times where
but
all y'all been howling up in there.
no, there have been times where like I've put him in his crate just because maybe we weren't in the room,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he's in the crate just howling. I was like,
because
really?
he an
I'm
animal.
like
He know
we're
what's tea.
we're right here. Like you can hear me. Like I'm right here.
Now, does Kenzo, does he have any sort of love life? How does he act at dog parks? Is
Um,
he gay? Is he straight? Is he bi? Is he pan? What? Because I can't imagine
so
Kenzo having a love life.
Kansas not that dog friendly. So he interacts with a few
No.
dogs. He interacts with a few dogs. But we had a party for him at my cousin Dwan's house. And Dwan has three dogs.
Okay.
Two girls and one boy. They ran around, they're being all cute. And next thing I know, Kenzo's just humping all of them.
Oh,
And I was like, well,
happy Pride.
and it started with the boy.
Oh,
And I
goodness.
looked at Jonte and he looked at me and looked at Dwan and we were like, well, I mean, I guess he is his father's child. So like, I don't know. I don't think he's gay. Kenzo, you gay? He just looked at me.
He said,
Um,
"Bitch, don't play with me."
but I
Um,
think he's like Diego. I think anybody can get it. I
okay.
think he's so deprived of dog touch. He's like
So he'll go with Eric or Lily.
basically,
Okay.
yeah, I
Well,
think.
also in this scene as it wraps, Joy gets so frustrated. She said, "Why didn't I get cats?" And I came here to say, in the name of relatable, cats will play in your face too.
They
They'll
will.
be outside in the hallway wailing. too.
They will.
Like it's not exclusive to
Oh, I
dogs.
used to shut my cat out when I was back in my mom's house as a kid, and that cat would howl outside the door.
Yes, cats will wail, honey.
But
Wail.
I have some questions about this scene in particular.
Yeah.
So what were the dogs doing before they got to the bedroom? Like did Miranda just like walk in and they went straight to the room and started
That's a
making
good
out?
question.
And two, did Miranda put on that suit and scarf to just go there and take it off? Like that's
Well,
a lot of
that's
work.
what she said when she was getting dressed. She said she didn't want to do her walk of shame in the morning in slutty outfit. So I guess Miranda was
Oh, I think I
spending the
missed
night
that.
there to take it off, and then she was going to put it back on in the morning and go to work.
I mean, I under oh work. Okay. That makes sense. So she
That's what
wore
I'm thinking. That's what I
okay.
got from the scene. And she was like, she didn't
Is
want
that
to.
what you have done?
No, honestly, I would have brought a change of clothes.
Yeah.
Because if I get invited over, I'm going over cute but comfortable. I'm not wearing no jumpsuit and no matching scarf.
So are you going like full spin the night bag, stuff to shower with, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Are you getting ready there, or are you just gonna kind of like wing
No,
it?
I'm getting
You're
ready
getting ready
there.
there.
Which is so funny. There was a debate sparked online because I guess this guy was flying this girl out, and the
Hmm.
girl goes, "Do you have towels? I need to know before I leave." And he's like, "Fellas, what are we doing?" And I burst out as someone who
Wait, is it like
deals.
they don't have men don't have towels?
No, like this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon if you're in a certain age group, for young men to only have like a face towel and a body towel for them.
What?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. This is so common. And so because it was
Oh my
brought to the
God,
internet, I
that's
screamed at the
disgusting.
top of my lungs because this is not something that's widely talked about
Oh,
publicly. But there's so many men, regardless of race, I should mention,
yeah.
um who don't have a lot of towels.
I mean, I'm fine with like a
So
mismatched towel, like that makes sense, but like to not have them at all,
no,
that's
no.
crazy.
They'll have one.
That's crazy.
I'm not joking. So I was cracking up that this girl was like, before I leave this house, before I fly out there, you got towels, right? Because sis was gonna pack her own towels. Which
So
in that case, I'm not flying out to stay with someone and be hugged up and sleeping with them and stuff, and you ain't got towels for me. That's the least you can do.
that's
Or
crazy.
for yourself, because they're not just for me.
That's nuts. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many guest towels I had.
You're gay.
Matter of fact, last time somebody came to stay here, it was some friends from Atlanta. We went across to the store we will not name right now because we don't fuck with them, and we got an entire set of like like the not disposable, but well they ended up being disposable, but like the pack of 10 washcloths for $2, and it's like a whole set
You
with
would
like $5 and $6
think,
towels just so they would just have fresh towel when we wash them first, but just so they would have fresh towels
yeah.
that were
You would
all
think, in fairness, most gay men that I know, of course, have a reasonable amount of towels and even like extra toothbrushes and anything that you need. I'm
yeah.
talking specifically about straight men.
That's
And it is what it
crazy.
is. You all can weigh in. Let us know at speakpipe.com/. We're
Yes.
just like that. Let me know if I'm on an island here or if you can relate because
Please, I want to hear about it because
some
I'm
things
actually
you gotta
I'm
check.
fascinated by this. This is a
I'm
phenomenon.
surprised you've never heard of this,
No, I
especially because you
mean,
spent time in Atlanta.
no, I mean, I just
Like,
know straight men are just kind of, desolate, but like I
whew,
don't spend a lot of time in that world. I'm an
mm,
adult. You know what I mean? Like
save yourself.
my days of chasing after and fantasizing over straight men have ended. They've been over
Yeah.
for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
Once I realize they don't wash, maybe they don't wash because they don't have towels.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's another podcast for another day. So it's so funny because as Joy mentioned that she should have gotten cats, we see Carrie trying to get some sleep, but Shu is on her head. Shu is not letting Carrie get any sleep. The
No,
purring is loud, which is also very common. Shout out to the cat owners out there. You already know what it gives.
right up on the
And
pillow.
yes, they're either one of my sisters, her cat lays on her chest. Like gets very upset if my sister doesn't sleep on her back, which is very uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
But the cat will lay on her chest or get on her back and whatever. Um, so Carrie gets up to put Shu out of the room and I should mention, my mind went to Shu was trying to wake Carrie up about something.
Mm,
I immediately assumed that Carrie had like a bug or a rodent in her house because
oh
she was
no.
meowing and like sometimes
Yeah.
cats will do that as well.
Mm.
Um, but she gets up to put Shu outside of her room when she's
Fucking jump scare.
I love that Cynthia Nixon does not mind bearing it all. Cynthia Nixon, we know we
I
seeing her
mind.
titties
I
a
mind.
few times a season ever since Sex in the City. Like Cynthia Nixon don't give a damn about a nudity clause.
And it's not even the fact that it was her. I
Right.
just didn't expect nakedness. It
It's
just
just
caught me
in
off guard.
general. It's just in general.
And
Where
I
it's
th
like,
and I think I said it scared me because it did scare me. But it scared me because it was unexpected.
I mean, and in fairness, Miranda was irritated because she was expecting to spend the night. Like, imagine the irritation when you're going over your crush's house to spend the night and something interrupts that. Like, I ain't trying to hear none of that shit, Carrie. I ain't trying to
Yeah.
hear none of that shit. But she clearly Miranda's very comfortable. And
Very.
so we get the next morning. This is when things get spicier. The next
Yeah.
morning, notice Carrie was walking around her apartment in flats. I noticed
I
that.
did. I
She's got
did.
her flats
You found some
on,
somewhere.
and they're cute flats. They're not
Yeah.
house shoes, but they're flats. And she takes a moment to admire her table, which I thought, okay, on the picture, the table didn't look cute to me, but in that
And
room
it
in
looks
Carrie's
great in that
house,
room.
it ate.
Yeah.
It ate. It
Yeah.
looks gorgeous in there.
I agree.
And so she takes a minute to admire her new table before heading into the kitchen where she finds Miranda, who has eaten Carrie's
Hmm.
last yogurt and her last banana. And Carrie is noticeably a bit irritated.
Now, this is where I was irritated with Carrie, because you know that you're having guests. Either stock the fridge up or be prepared to just give your shit up. Like it's, I understand like the personal annoyance, but also like it's kind of your guest, so just be a good
Aside,
host.
I
Like,
think I think a guest in context to this conversation with these two, it does a bit disservice. It does too much heavy lifting because Carrie and Miranda are like siblings at this point. So although Miranda is a guest, it's like, girl, that's your sis.
right, like just give her the yogurt and the banana. Like it wasn't that deep.
It wasn't. It
And I
wasn't.
and
But
again,
you also understand the very human nature of being a bit irritated, but Carrie was doing a lot. No
she
shade.
was, but then also like, girl, you knew she was coming. Why did you not
You
stock the
invited her.
fridge? Like, what
You invited her.
what was she gonna eat?
I love the dialogue here. You don't eat yogurt. Yes, I do. Since when? Since I turned 50? Miranda's like, I thought it was a house yogurt. You used to smoke a cig for breakfast.
Right. Which I mean, and fair. I mean, because again, I think as time goes on, people do change and they adopt new things,
Yeah,
and if you're not with them 24/7, you maybe
you may not
don't
notice.
realize, what
Which can we
changes.
note? Like, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on this podcast. I'm not a big breakfast girl, but I'm definitely not reaching for a banana, tea, and yogurt. Like, ew.
I'm not a yogurt person. I'm a
Yogurt's good for you,
I
though.
I know.
I would have thought that you would be. You're so health conscious in your
I
probiotics and
I
prebiotics.
I want to be like I try to be. I don't like it.
I remember a time when you was eating Chipotle for breakfast. You was there at 10:30 to get your protein in before you went to the gym
I mean,
because that's when
yesterday.
it was the
I
freshest.
mean, yesterday.
Oh, you still do it. You still
Oh,
do it.
so here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of like breakfast foods.
Me
Like
either.
I'm a very savory person, but for breakfast I'll do mostly eggs and a chicken breast, which is
Mm-hmm.
might sound crazy, um,
It's a
or
little
some type of like
sadistic.
that's what people say, but it tastes good and it's a lot of protein. Sometimes I'll throw some toast on there, but again, if I'm going to the gym, then I'll just go to Chipotle at 10:30 and just get the full
Yeah. Yeah,
full
I'm
works.
I'm a savory girl too. I will eat breakfast food, but it has to be savory. I'll take a skillet, an omelet. I
Yeah,
honestly think Chipotle should consider adding an egg
an egg bowl,
yeah, to their
baby,
morning
as
situation.
if I need more points.
You could go
Um,
over there and get a breakfast burrito.